Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordian Glory video. So, those of you who keep an eye on the competitive side of Warhammer 40k, especially sort of the online community, and you are part of various Warhammer competitive Facebook groups and maybe even the Warhammer competitive Reddit, you may be aware of a situation that has started to develop concerning, I believe, the #1 ranked ITC player currently. And basically, this player has been caught cheating red-handed. I believe the game he was caught on was at a grand tournament, a relatively small one, a 28-man tournament. But the games were live streamed, and this player in question was caught cheating on 3 separate occasions, all of which were rather significant. So, for example, he rolled the number of dice for one of his Plague Burst crawlers, rolled a 3, and then made his opponent roll for 4 saves. He said he hit with 4 times and wounded 4 times, and then told his opponent he had to make 4 saves. So that's adding an extra shot in. He said that he passed Feel No Pains on his Poxwalkers when he didn't, so he didn't take as many casualties as he should have done. But the most egregious one was that he said that his Plague Burst crawler survived on 1 wound when actually it had taken 13 wounds. And even taking into account things like the reducing damage by 1, the majority of these wounds were caused by mortal wounds, I believe. So the Disgusting Resilient doesn't kick in with that thing. So I'm not going to go into the name of this person. What I will do is I'll link to the Reddit thread where this actually all came out of the woodwork. And you can see the response of the tournament organisers and everything, and this player has received a punishment. I will leave it up to you to decide whether you think it is a strong enough one. But a lot of people in the Warhammer 40k community can be quite soft on cheating. And I tell you what this video is. This video is not a video for me to start a witch hunt against anyone in particular. This video is me talking about my experiences with cheating and why it is so fundamentally important to crack down on it and to be harsh on it. Because for those of you that follow this channel for a long time, I was subjected to some absolutely horrendous cheating a few years ago. And I made a video about it at the time, which I haven't got on my channel anymore because it was attracting... I didn't want my channel to become about calling cheaters out and anything like that. It wasn't what I wanted my channel to be. I wanted my channel to be a place of positivity, not a place of negativity. But what I want to talk about is about what happened with myself very briefly and how it affected me and why it is so important that cheating is just basically given 0 tolerance. So what happened with myself is I was playing in it was an ITC event. I guess maybe ITC brings the worst out in people because there's some sort of I want to be the best kind of thing. But I was playing against a very well-known player. In fact, this player had written articles for Frontline Gaming about how good a Tau player he was and how to be a good Tau player, which apparently to be a good Tau player you need to cheat, apparently. Maybe you definitely do a 9th edition, they're pretty crap now, but anyway. And long story short, my opponent must have cheated me on literally a dozen things. From telling me that Longstrike had an extra wound because he was a special character when he didn't, and I know he didn't because I play against my brother's Tau all the time, and I know Longstrike isn't special like that. And guess what? By me not killing Longstrike, it ended up making a huge difference because Longstrike buffs the other 3 hammerheads that he's with and made all the hammerheads hit on 2s. So that was a big deal. And then saying that his burst cannons on his Tiger Sharks, which are not the same burst cannons that you will find on a Riptide, were AP -2. Only revealing that after he found out that my Steel Legion trait ignored AP -1. So I should have been hit on 3-up saves pretty much the whole game. But instead I was on a 5-up save. So that's pretty big. And a whole host of other things. And I eventually, I did do a video, I called this guy out, there was a bit of internet drama, and like I said, I made the video still there, but I think it's just private at the moment. And I did that because I didn't want my channel to be this hub of negativity. But anyway, So that was what I went through. But let me tell you, it really does bother me still to this day. And maybe I am just a sensitive soul. Maybe you should tell me to man up, tough up. It's only a game. Yeah, it's true, but it's weird because I don't know how to describe it, but I guess it's not really the game so much as the fact that you've almost encountered this rather just toxic person, and maybe it's different. It's a bit of a funny one, but because of me going through this cheating experience, not me cheating, but being cheated on. It sounds very like a real relationship, but because someone cheated against me and it was so heavy, and the thing is that what this person did in this other tournament, the one that's in the Reddit post, what he did was very similar. I was almost getting Vietnam flashbacks, what he was doing as to what the cheaters did against me, and I guess because of that, because it was so similar, totally two different people, because it was so similar, I guess I feel like I have a rather unique perspective on this because I essentially went through something very similar. You see, a lot of people in the Warhammer 40k community will say, "Oh, you can't, cheating's sort of a part of it. It's up to you to be as vigilant as possible, blah, blah, blah." And a lot of people give a really easy pass to cheating, or a lot of people will just say, "Oh, well, next time, whatever." But what I would say is, and I've gone a bit around the house with this, but it really affected me as a player. And you can ask my brother about this on his channel, Scholar Progenium. I didn't even realise what I was doing, but basically, since that incident, I have been totally untrustworthy. I have been totally untrusting of the people that I'm playing against. So my brother will tell you, it is totally infuriating at times playing against me now. Only since this incident, because I'm always asking him to show me his codex. I'm always asking him to prove what he's talking about. I'm always, checking it on Battlescribe. I basically have my default position now is I just do not trust who I'm playing. And that's really bad because the majority of my games are against my brother or against friends, and it must get really infuriating with them. Because I've done a lot of work on myself that sounds really hippie, but that's probably not politically correct. That sounds really soft. But I've done a lot of work on myself to stop this from being the case. But it has made me a worse person to play against. And I have to make a real concerted effort to just trust my opponent now. Because otherwise, I'm always saying, show me that in the rules. Show me that in the rules. Show me that. Show me that. And I don't do it in an aggressive way, but it does slow the game down a lot. And to be honest, it is infuriating for my opponent, and it causes things to take a lot longer. And it's a nightmare. So if I'm not careful, if I'm just being a bit tired and not really concentrating on my game, I can be very difficult to play against because I'm always asking my opponent to prove what he's talking about. And it's only exacerbated by a lot of codexes these days having a huge amount of special rules and whatnot, that I feel like it's not only easy for your opponent to make genuine mistakes, but I also think it is very easy for cheaters to pull things out their ass now, because there's so many different rules. I got a copy of the new Necron Codex because my missus has Necrons, and she only plays like once every 6 months, but it's still fun. And I got a copy of that Necron Codex, and we looked at it and we were like, we can't remember all this. It's too much for a casual player. It's too much for a person who plays every 6 months. So we ended up pretty much playing whenever we do play, like I said, once every 6 months, once every sort of 4 months, we pretty much played a homebrew version of that codex. We just stripped out all the complicated shit. It was just, we didn't even use command protocols or anything like that. It was just too much for her to keep track of. She doesn't want to be keeping track of things each day. She just wants to roll some dice to keep me happy when I pester enough to play a game. But the point is that it does make a big difference, because it allows people to do these kind of things and pull things out of their ass and play, and make rules up or misinterpret rules intentionally, and then of course you've got the other side of it, which is just fast dicing and being dodgy with dice and all that kind of stuff. But what I would say is, cheating is really bad because it does have an effect on people off the table, or it does have a long-term impact. If someone goes to a tournament and gets blatantly cheated and then finds out about it later, or sort of knows at the time, but they're too nice. A lot of people in Warhammer 40k are really nice people, very non-confrontational people. You're pretty typical nerds, you're pretty typical geeks who don't like confrontation. That's why they're not playing sports. That's why they're playing 40k, because it's their way of competing, but without having to have that aggressive confrontational element. And I'm one of those people. I like to think of myself as one of those people anyway. A pretty mild-mannered, nerdy kind of person. You know, never been in a fight, never want to be in a fight kind of thing. Always avoided that kind of thing. Played lots of like contact sports. That's totally different. And I just feel people don't understand that those kind of people are pretty easy to cheat, but those people aren't stupid. Like, you know when it's happening to you, and what happens, and like you could tell in this incident that's happened. And I know I'm all over the place here, guys, but I'm kind of just speaking from the heart, I'm speaking from the brain. I'm just stream of consciousness. You can tell the orc player that he's playing against knows he's being cheated. You can tell. But you can also tell the orc player is a typical orc player and is a nice guy. So just lets it go, because he tries to push back a little bit when he knows he's killed that plague burst crawler. He knows he's killed it, and his opponent's like, no, well, he's still really, pardon my French here, he's still really fucked up. Like, he's fucked up, he's not going to be doing anything. Like, well, that's not the point, is it? So what you're saying is, you know he should be dead, but you're keeping him on one wound, you're barefaced lying to your opponent, and then you're saying, well, it doesn't matter if I'm lying to you anyway, because this unit's so degraded, it won't do anything in the game anyway. That's not the point. That's not a justification. That's not allowed. Okay? That doesn't get past the fact that you've basically gone, it doesn't matter if I'm cheating you, because he's really fucked up anyway. So what I was saying is, the cheating, a lot of people see cheating as, oh, it affects the outcome of the game. You know what? I don't give a crap about the outcome of the game. I don't give a crap if I win or lose. I don't give a crap if cheating made a difference to someone who won or lost. That's a very one-dimensional way of looking at it. It's a very shallow way of looking at it. What you have to look in the wider context of it is, A, what effect does that have on the person who's being cheated? And like I can tell you, it will affect them. I can tell you it's affected me first hand. You might say I make a big deal out of Game of Toy Soldiers, but I give a crap about this hobby. I give a crap about Warhammer 40k, so much so that I have this channel which I look forward every single day to finishing work so I can upload content for this channel. Like, if I could do this channel full time as my job, I'd be in heaven. That's how much I love Warhammer 40k. That's how much I love a specific part of Warhammer 40k, which is the Imperial Guard. Like, so it affects me when someone tarnishes that part of my life that I really, really enjoy. But then it affects my behaviour, which then goes on to affect other people because I'm being an arse without even realising I'm being an arse. So that's the one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is it affects the health, really affects the health of the game in general in two ways. So firstly, the guy that gets cheated knows he's been cheated and he goes, you know what, I'm never going to a tournament again. In fact, I don't want to play 40k anymore, because even when I'm playing casually now, I have this bad taste in my mouth. And so that player's lost out the hobby, and that player could have been a great person to play against. It might have been an absolute delight, but he goes, you know what, this isn't worth my time. If someone wants to cheat at playing Toy Soldiers, this is not the community for me. And that guy leaves. He might leave the community entirely, or he just swears off tournaments. But either way, tournament scene it's almost like a double doozy, because the cheater's still there. He's still going to be playing games and cheating people, but now the community's lost a good person as well. So it's a double doozy. You've not just lost one person, you've kept one bad person. So that person now has more presence in the community, in the competitive community, if you see what I'm trying to say here. The other side of it is that when these stories come out, they're very useful because they do expose cheating and keep people on the toes and all this kind of stuff. But it also, when these stories come out and when people talk about it and whatnot, every time you see threads full of people going, this is why I don't do competitive Warhammer. Because these things happen all the time. It's really interesting. When 8th edition, these things happen all the time. And when 8th edition started, there was a huge influx of newer players. And there's also, because the hobby was so regenerated, you had things like streamers and whatnot, and battle reports being filmed a lot more, and you had, tournament battle reports being streamed a lot more, stuff like that. And so a huge influx of people came in. And if you remember at the beginning of 8th edition, you had all these scandals where all these old grognards, all these veterans of the competitive scene kept getting caught up in scandals. I believe there was a team in America called Team Happy where every single player was involved in multiple 40k cheating events, or poor sportsmanship events, or just being a bloody hard ass or annoying person to play against. Loads of these negative. It was the same, and there's these people that have been in the hobby for ages, and suddenly they were surrounded by these young, naive people who just wanted, or naive people who were just in the hobby having fun, and they wouldn't stand for it. Because the people that they've been playing against had stood for it for too long, and the new people came and went, we're not standing for this. And so, if you actually notice at the beginning of 8th edition, there was all these scandals. People in the UK, people in the US, all over the place, people being like scandalous. And then you got to the end of 8th edition, and a lot of them had petered out. There was none of these scandals anymore. Because people knew they were going to be on camera on top tables and many, many tables, especially at LVO. And likewise at London Grand Tournament, people knew they were going to be on camera, so they had to shape up. So this guy, that was one here, is the first one that I've heard of in a long time. I'm talking, it's the first one I've heard of in 9th edition of someone doing this. So, it goes to show that it's definitely become less widespread. But the problem with it is that when it happens, you have these people get caught much more easily now because there's so many more video things out there. And when it happens, you put off dozens and dozens of people from ever going to a tournament. Because, we see this all over the world. This is the last thing I'm going to say. It's going to sound a little deep. We see this throughout the world at the moment, not just in 40k, but throughout the world. People who read stuff online and then take that stuff online and translate it into the real world, even though it's actually really not present in the real world. Okay, so you've got all sorts of topics that get discussed online. We'll keep it focused on Warhammer 40k. But you have these people who read all about cheating, and it must come up all the time. You've got videos. This video is going to contribute to it, sadly. You've got all these people who talk about cheating, and when you go to a tournament, you think, everyone around me a cheater. And actually, the reality is you're very unlikely to come across one. I've come across one blatant one in probably 200 tournaments. Oh, God knows how many I've been to. Pardon me, God knows how many I've been to, like 100, 200 tournaments in my lifetime. And you very rarely come across it. I've come across it once, 1 in 100, maybe. 1 in 200, maybe. So 200 sounds way too many. It's probably less than 100. It's probably, well, I don't know, since 6th edition, playing a tournament on average every 2 months in 6th edition, it's probably about 100. I don't know the exact time. However many that is, we'll say once a month since 6th edition came out. So it has a huge impact on the wider scene. It does. It really does. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to talk about this specific instance. I just wanted to use it as a catalyst for this video, which I've been thinking about making for a long time. Because the guy that cheated me, it was like 2 years ago, if not longer. And it still bothers me. It just bothers me that someone would be so dishonest. I guess this is what I want to sign off on, because this video has been a bit ranty and rambly. So forgive me, it's a Friday afternoon. I am a little tired. But to give you an idea, I guess why it bothers me, I guess it comes down to personality clash. And we're going a little bit off topic here, guys, but it's Friday, forgive me. I am one of those people, this is not to break an arm jerking myself off. I'm one of those people that is probably honest to a fault. When someone gives me the wrong change in the shop in my favour, I'll tell them and say, oh, you give me too much here, and give them £1 back. Whether it's from Subway or to a local cafe, change back up, it doesn't bother me. I do things like that. I'm honest to a fault. I'm honest with my boss to a fault. You know, so when I sent an email to my boss at 8 o'clock at night, he was like, "Oh bloody hell, you were working late, weren't you?" I went, "Well, actually, I ended up having to do some house stuff for a couple of hours during the day, so I was just making up time." I could have got away with being seen as a real workaholic there, but I was honest. So I guess when someone is so blatantly dishonest, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people out there who are honest to a fault. Especially 40k players, I say especially guard players. We just want to have a good time, especially alt players as well. And when you come across someone who's so the opposite of you, it sticks with you, and it's difficult to shake it off, and it makes you a less trusting person. And then it just has this big knock-on effect. So anyway, guys, that's it. I'll put a link down in the description below. I haven't named anyone in this video. I won't be. If I have left that other video of my encounter privated, I'm going to leave it privated because I don't want to dredge that all up again. I don't want this channel to be that focus. But I thought this was a good catalyst to talk about what happened. And rather than being one of those people that talks about it from the abstract, I wanted to talk about it from the first hand. Because it's very easy for people to talk about these things in theory and in the big picture and behind a keyboard or whatever. But it's very different when it's real life. And it might sound like I've made a big deal about this and it's a bit dramatic, and I'm sure there'll be some people saying, oh, you're only covering this because you want the clicks and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not even going to engage in that because that's just not the fact. I actually don't like talking about this. It bothers me. It bothers me. So I guess I just wanted to talk about it because it's something that has been plaguing me. Not too strong a word. Has been nagging at me a little bit for the last couple of weeks because I've been thinking about it and it's been bothering me. So I thought, you know what, this is a good opportunity to talk about it and then to also comment on something that's happened elsewhere. But yeah, cheating. Summarise, cheating is bad. Okay, but But joking aside, cheating is really, really bad, and I don't think. I guess to summarise this video, this long 22-minute video, I was going to keep this to 10 minutes. To summarise this long bullshit video, people often see cheating through the lens of it affects who wins and who loses a game, and it shouldn't be seen through that because that's very trivial. 40k cheating should be seen through the lens of the long-term ripple effect it will have on the community at large, but also the individual involved who was cheated. Now, some people will just brush it off. A lot of people just brush it off. Like I said, I'm probably just a sensitive soul, or I've got a bit of a Warhammer Old World dwarf in me and I never let a grudge go. Write it down. Maybe that could be the case. I might be holding on to this, and now maybe talking about it is what I should have done properly ages ago instead of stewing on it, because I feel a lot better just talking about it, but who knows. I think it does bother people, and I think it will have a long-term impact. And I'm not saying it's the end of the world, because at the end of the day, it is a game of toy soldiers. It's not like cheating at some sort of world-class sporting event where people only get one chance in their lifetime. You only really get 1 or 2 shots at the Olympics. It's not like cheating there. You're not cheating out of someone out of a lifelong goal, to be fair. So it's not as serious as that. I don't want anyone thinking it's serious. And the last thing I would say, it's just something I find personally totally abhorrent. And that is not a strong enough word. I can't use a strong enough word for my opinion on it. But the other thing I would just say is that if anyone reads or listens to this video and reads the article and goes, right, I'm never going to 140k, that's the wrong thing. That's not what you should be doing. You should always be trying to put, this channel's focused on semi to competitive tactics, and sometimes just some fun stuff, but we do try and have a competitive slant on this channel. And I would just say that you should always go to tournaments, you should always push yourself, you should always try and be doing better, coming up with new ways to beat the meta, all that kind of stuff. But if someone cheats you and you can prove it there and then, just don't let them get away with it. We can't. People are too nice in this hobby. I think I'm too nice in this hobby, and I think we can't let these people get away with it. So stand up for yourself, and that's the best thing I can say. Stand up for yourself. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Am I being a big old wuss about this? Should I man up? Should I just stop being such a big, big softy around it? Or what do you guys think? Have any of you guys been through anything similar? I'll tell you what I would like to know. I'll tell you what I'd like to know. Nothing, actually, not generic sign off. Let's go for specific sign off. Have any of you guys been through something similar? And does it still bother you to this day? Or were you just not that bothered? That's what I'd like to know. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.